Welcome to our Academic Skills video series, hosted by me, your favourite librarian. This video is going to explore the wide world of referencing. In this video, we are going to cover what exactly referencing is, as well as looking through some examples of both footnote and in-text references. To start, you need two different things. The first is being able to easily access information about your sources. This is why I always recommend that you record your referencing information as soon as you find a source, so you don't have to go scrabbling around trying to find it at a later date. The second thing is to have a secure system for recording your referencing information. Hopefully you are already familiar with recording your sources, including their referencing details, but if not, do take a watch of the How to Record Sources video. Okay, confident that you have your source information to hand and somewhere to record this, then let's get this show on the road. We throw the word referencing around quite a lot in school. You might have also heard the term citation used, which is a synonym for referencing, very potato-patata. Referencing is an umbrella term which lots of other things come under. You will see some terms you might have heard before, but do you know what these terms mean in a referencing context? Let's look at grouping them. We first have different types of referencing. The two types of referencing are footnotes and in-text, which we will look at in more detail. Linked to this is a set style of referencing. A style of referencing, such as Harvard or MHRA, essentially forms the rules in which a reference has to be written. Again, panic not, we'll have a closer look at that too. The last terms we have are things which are part of our wider referencing system. Our bibliography, source list, or what is also sometimes termed a reference list. All of these are parts of the referencing system that every assignment requires. Okay, now we've thought about what referencing is, we are going to move on to the why. Why do you think we reference? It isn't just because I am telling you to. There are two main purposes. 1. Academic honesty. It is extremely important that anyone reading your assignment can clearly tell what is your own work and what is someone else's. You therefore reference to credit the academics or other individuals whose work you are using. This means that we avoid any danger of academic dishonesty and plagiarism. Sirens. 2. Reference trails. This may seem super nerdy, but clear references allow someone reading your work to check your quotations and other information as they appear in the source that you have used. They also allow anyone reading a piece of work with references to undertake further research. When you are reading sources with references included, you can check these out too, meaning you have essentially more sources to utilise. Winning! The first type of reference we are going to look at is a footnote reference. As the name suggests, my reference will appear at the foot, i.e. the bottom, of the page. Take a look at this piece of text. You will see I have a direct quotation, indicated by the quotation marks, with a little number 1 appearing at the end of it. I know from this that a reference is going to be at the footnote of that page with a little 1. There is my reference. I can now go and track down this book and find the exact page that this quotation is taken from, page 28. The other type of reference we can use is an in-text reference. The name again is a clue here. We would expect to see this reference in our text. You will see here our reference again features after our quotation, but this time in the form of the author's surname and date in brackets. Now, those of you with brains currently set to think will be puzzling on why we would use a reference which shows less information. In our footnote reference, we have the author and date, as well as a lot more information about the book, such as the title and publishing information. Here, in our in-text reference, we just have the author and date. In-text referencing is most commonly found in STEM subjects. This is because for people working in these fields, the most important thing is who undertook the research and when it was completed. Hence, we have a reference which only has the author and date. In-text references do still require a full, detailed reference, but this lives in the bibliography at the end of the work. Let's take a closer look at that. As I mentioned, our in-text reference has two parts to it. The first part is the reference which features in our text, containing the author and date. The second is the full reference which features in our bibliography. As you can see, we still need the full details of a source to write our bibliographic reference, so don't think if you're doing in-text referencing you can get out of writing these down. Make sure these are noted, as you still very much need them. A note on bibliographies now. A bibliography, source list or reference list is a complete record of all of the sources that have been used both in research and the assignment itself. Even if you have not quoted directly from a source, it should still be present in your bibliography. You can see now why it's important to keep good records. In our bibliographic reference, we need all the information about a source. You may have spotted that the order of your bibliography is by author surname alphabetically. If so, well done. This is how a bibliography is always ordered. I, for example, am always going to feature near the end of a bibliography because my surname begins with T. The rather strange look of my bibliography here is due to a snazzy piece of formatting called a hanging indent. This is an academic convention in how bibliographies are displayed, and can be easily done through Word's formatting options. I know referencing can seem rather complex and mysterious, but I want you to think of it like a formula. We are essentially recording the same information every time in the same place. The order of recording is based on the style of referencing we are using. All start with the author first, but can differ if the next piece of information is the title or the date. The order which this information appears is based on that style. In this example, you can see we start with the author before moving on to the date, title, publishing location, and publisher. All of the other features you see, such as the use of punctuation and italics, count as part of that style of referencing and must be included. Let's populate these fields with the details of Orlando. I'm simply adding my source information into the relevant fields, which is not a hardship. We have looked at some examples of references, so I want you to pause this video and write down everything you think we need to include in a full academic reference. Okay, good. Hopefully you've had quite a few things jotted down. Our most basic reference is probably that for a book and features all the things we would expect to find there in terms of author or editor, title, date, and the publishing information. Other source types need additional information included in their reference. For example, an article, such as one you might find on JSTOR, will also need additional information about the journal it features in, such as the series and volume number. For websites and digital resources, we also need to include the URL and the date which we access that source. You can probably think of other source types you might wish to use, such as lectures, podcasts, and maybe even films. All of these require specific referencing details which relate to that specific source type. If you are unsure what details your source would need, please do drop me an email and I can let you know. Now we have thought about what details we need, an important consideration is where to find these details. For a book, the title page at the front records the author and the title for you. Turn this title page over and the next page will contain the publishing information. It can be in quite small print, so you might need to turn your eyes up. For books with different chapters by different authors, you can find details of these different authors in the contents page at the front of the book. For a journal article, the database you are using will have all of this information captured in a Details tab. If you print an article from JSTOR, for example, it includes a handy cover sheet with all of this information on, so don't just throw that away. A lot of databases also have a handy Cite tool, which provides you with a ready-made reference containing all of the information you need, so take advantage of that too, but do make sure that it's set to the correct referencing style. For a website, it can be tricky sometimes to track down exactly who the author is or when the information was published. Don't just stick to the top of the web page. Scroll around to check no details are lurking at the bottom of the page or in the side panels. If you have a source and you aren't sure what information to record, write down as much as you can. It's always better to have too many details to look back on than too few. I hope this has helped to demystify the world of referencing. To end, I'm going to throw down some top tips to keep in mind when approaching referencing. Firstly, record before you read. Write down that full academic reference, as if you only write down some sketchy details, it will be a nightmare trying to find the full details later on. You don't just want to note to yourself saying, the book on magnetism. Secondly, make use of referencing tools. Both Cite This For Me and MyBib help to build references for you. Make use of these as well as citation tools available to you on databases and websites. Lastly, remember that everyone is here to help you. You can speak to your teacher if you're struggling with your referencing. You are, of course, always welcome to drop into the library or book a one-to-one meeting with me using the Book a Librarian tile. Do also take a watch of the other videos in the Skills series to help hone your academic skills further. Happy referencing!